y'all, it's Fang Pipsqueak Reads, and surprise, I have a review! I'm trying to keep up to my word that I will finish these 4 books for the remainder of September, because I've named it Short Story September. So I'm going to be reading a lot of short story collections. And I finished Take the Corvus by Luke Kondor. It's a collection of short stories and essays, and if you can remember the compilation of the synopsis, it's basically this. The Corvus is here, open up wide, prepare to receive nourishment. Tonight we bring you tales of horror and wonder from across the multiverse. Tastes great. Bring your own beer. Topics including, but not limited to, an iPhone from another dimension, a post-apocalyptic London marathon, a misremembered childhood, mad Photoshop skills gone bad, a cardboard VR system, possessed dogs, and Gordon Ramsay. So yeah, I was immediately interested in reading the Gordon Ramsay story, and I just, as soon as I finished recording my TBR post, I just dug right in. It's a blast! It's so funny! It's called, of course, Hell's Kitchen. I can't remember here it is. And I immediately, as I read it, I immediately pictured Gordon Ramsay, telling this story in his voice. I can't say that Luke Kondor managed to capture him exactly, but, I just got the feeling and the vibe from Gordon Ramsay as I was reading this, especially in the first sentence. It starts, I am the greatest chef in the world. Wait, no. I'm more than that. I am the greatest fucking chef in the world. Oh, no, sorry, the goddamn multiverse. How do I know this? Well, so it basically starts like that, and I love the fact that he says, that he's the greatest chef in the world. I can't say because I haven't tried any of his food, but I love his shows. I love Hell's Kitchen. I love Kitchen Nightmares. Kitchen Nightmares is actually one of my favorites. It's one of the go-to reality TV shows that I check out if I want just to, listen to him being so fucking angry and just, laying it down on people who can't do it right. It relieves my soul. So basically the story is that he's bragging about him being, the best fucking chef in the world in the goddamn multiverse. And it happens that, all the deities of the world summon him up to the heavens, in which he has to prepare a meal for them. And he's like, yeah, of course, I'm the fucking best, why the fuck not? And he goes, and and he sees all these, all the deities, but here it's basically that, what is it? That Zeus, Odin, and the Holy Father were all turning into each other, just, like this at the snap of a finger, and it's basically just supposed to be the Almighty God. And he is like, yeah, so I brought my stuff, so where am I supposed to cook? And the gods are like, oh, no, you misunderstood. You're for dinner. And they continue to suck his essence until nothing is left of him. and when they're done, they just kind of smack their lips and like, that was divine. Do you think Jamie Oliver is do you guys know Jamie Oliver's Twitter handle? And it ends like that, and they're like, oh yeah, let's get Jamie next. I haven't tasted Jamie Oliver food, so I don't know if this is like a jab or anything, or if they actually do have a rivalry or something like that. I don't know, but I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, I really enjoyed the stories in Take the Corvus. It basically, you know, I'm not. I should have maybe started with that, but I couldn't. I just had to tell you about Hell's Kitchen. Uh, what I really like about it is that it has this kind of like a central theme. It has this kind of a creature that is kind of like a crow. I think that's the reason why I'm wearing my Slayer t-shirt, because it has a bird on it. Fits with the cover. So it kind of like is a crow, but it's more like it is just sort of this multiverse divine creature. And it carries the stories from the multiverse to a person, and once it finds a suitable person to take the Corvus, as the title suggests, it regurgitates the stories into that said person. So the story starts with this kind of crow, and its name is Gutre. I think I managed to say it right, Gutre. And he finds a boy who's sleeping, and he just piles on the stories into his mouth. And that's basically how the story, and that kind of kickstarts the short collection, actually. Like here, take the Corvus boy, because the Corvus gives, and then the girl bends down to her knees, picks up the phone, and that's basically how this first short story starts, Finders Keepers. I really did enjoy that it has this kind of a theme that binds them together, so it's not like you kind of have the feeling that it might not be from your time, or it could, but it could be from somewhere else. Could be like a parallel universe where these things are happening, and he's kind of just relaying the tales that these things existed, and all of you should know about it. So I did like that. I also enjoyed the fact that most of these stories here, they also were kind of connected to like a zombie plague-ish pandemic. Like there were some stories here that had this kind of a something to do with oh no, this disease struck us, and it's been kind of like a post-apocalyptic after that. So I did enjoy that some of the stories were connected in that way. There are a lot of stories. How many stories are there again? One again. Can't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there are 20 short stories in this book. Some of them really short. Some of them do take it a little bit up a notch. And I had a lot of favorite stories here. So I'm using Cass's book review notepad here. It really helps. Doing a little shameless plug in here for her. Seems. So yeah, I couldn't really find anything that much bad about it, but like the stories that I enjoyed the most, the one is called Women's Running Magazine. It's a weird title, but kind of fits in with the story. It's about this woman who is, doing a marathon, a London marathon. Like I said in the synopsis, in like a post-apocalyptic environment. So there are debris, there is destruction. She has to run through it, and she has to run away from these zombies, or what they were called. Hungry. Yeah, they were called the Hungries. And this virus that has ravaged them is called the Fitzpatrick virus. I love that it has a human name. And so she's not like from. It kind of like reminds me of like the Hunger Games a little bit, in which there's like the class castes here. So like the rich people, they're up, like I think up in the clouds, just watching the event, while the poor people who have to fend up for themselves, they are put into this kind of race, and they have to, race through a desolated London in order to win, I think, their freedom or win access to go up into the clouds. Either way, it's just to get a better life. And yeah, I'm not gonna spoil what's happening in all of the stories. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of roundup, hopefully. So the second story that I really liked was called Photoshop Wizard, and it's about this girl who is taking these kind of graphic design classes at the university, and she feels like everything like the assignments that they've been giving, they are lackluster, they're pretty simple, not really what she feels that she can bring onto the table. Like, she has skills, she has been learning all by herself, and then she also kind of took, I wouldn't say desperate measures, but she decided like, hey, I want to look into the occult a little bit to see if I can mix that together. And during this one time in class, one student gets like super huge praise for developing or designing a super simple design for the assignment, and that was kind of the breaking point for the girl. She was just like, that's fucking stupid. I can do a whole of a lot better than that, and it doesn't need to be simple. You can bring something much more out of it. And then she suddenly realizes that she has the ability to kind of bend reality in the vision of using Photoshop. So that's I'm gonna leave it at that. I really like the visuals that Luke Kondor brought forth in that story. It was eerie. I totally got Walker's frustration. I mean, when you're not being appreciated for what you can do, it sucks. So I definitely related a little bit to that. But yeah, her skills were scary, to say the least. Then I also loved a little story called Toast. I can't say that it was, in my classical, like, gory stuff or anything like that, something that I enjoy, but it was about this little robot. I think it was somewhere in the future. I think this story is connected to the, this Fitzpatrick virus that ravaged the country. And it's just like this small robot whose only function was to toast, butter a toast and toast someone's bread for them. And he was just left alone in this diner, like abandoned diner, and the only function he can do was just going back and forth and say, "Hello, my name is Toast. Would you like me to toast your toast? And would you like me to butter your toast?" Like, these were the only sentences that he was programmed to say. But he still had this kind of thought, because he was always going around like, there's something I need to do. I don't know what. Something is happening around here. I don't know what. And then he sees like a person somewhere closer into the diner. And it's, of course, not that person, but he still thinks he's alive. So he just always goes over to him and like, "Hi, my name is Toast. Would you like some toast?" It was just heartbreaking. I think that was like the idea with that story. I think Luke Kondor wanted just bring that despair and the loneliness and just the thought of being trapped there for all eternity until his batteries died, and just be able to say these 3 sentences. It just like, damn, it reminded me of Wall-E. Wall-E's not supposed to feel pain. So what else? I also loved The Old Fools at Tudor Close. It was just a really sweet story about about an old man who's just sitting in a park, and he's just by himself. He's been alone for such a long time, and then suddenly there's a dog that appears, and they just become friends. And he just throws sticks sticks out, and the dog goes and fetches it and brings it back, and they just having a good time, just dancing, and just it's a really feel good story until you realize the end, and you're like, God damn it. But at the same time, it's like, oh, but it's so sweet though. So I really liked that. It was like this kind of like this sweet moment that you kind of needed to keep going to read further into the stories as they got a little bit more morbid. Speaking of morbid, Monty's Meats. Oh shit. I of course, giving from the title, I kind of knew immediately what it was about, because my mind is pretty depraved. I always go to the worst thing scenario, the worst case scenarios. So yeah, of course, as I read the story, I was right, and it was horrifying. So it's basically this guy who is has been like stumbling through the wood for a long time, happens upon a mansion like in the middle of the forest or something like that. And I think this story is also connected to this Fitzpatrick's virus. So of course there's not many people around, and he hasn't eaten anything in a long time. So he goes into the mansion, and he finds no one there. But he goes into the cellar, finds like these things, like I think it was jerky, just hanging down from the ceiling. And of course, being so hungry, he just grabs a couple of bites and eats it, and then grabs a vine and just eats with it. Doesn't really think anything further about it. And then there's a plot twist. Again, I'm not gonna go further into that, but yeah, that was like, ew, gross, you're fucked. But at the same time, also like the beginning, like because he was going back and forth like into his head and going into his memories, it kind of connected at the end, and I really liked the twist and how it connected. So good job on that. I also loved Ocean Eyes. It's kind of deals with one of my fears, like one of my biggest fears. I am terrified of the ocean. Have been for like since I was little. I can't remember why. Might be the fact because I live on a fucking island and I can't go anywhere. Don't know. But yeah, it deals with the ocean. It's about a guy who is, on vacation somewhere. I don't think they specify where. And he, goes on this kind of ring and just sits, and he's like, I'm just gonna sit in the sun for a little bit. It's gonna be enough. It's gonna be fine. Sets it out on the ocean and just sits there, and then he falls asleep. And he drifts further into the ocean. That's seriously, it is one of my biggest fears. I hate this. I remember when I was little, and we would go on these pedal boats, and it usually had like this kind of built-in slide. And I was petrified the entire time. My dad would, pedal further away from the beach, and I was like, nope. If I can't see the sand underneath, I'm not going further. And when he forced me, yeah, my dad, like, this is the reason why we rented this this boat, so you could use it. So slide. So every time I would go on the slide, I would just swim as fast as I could back to the boat, because I was not spending any more minutes in that ocean, because I was always afraid that a shark would come and bite my legs off. So yeah, reading this, I just, it tapped into my childhood fear, tapped into my biggest fear, being adrift in the ocean and not being able to do anything about it. He didn't even have, the guy didn't even have his phone or anything, so he was completely alone, didn't have any food, only had sunglasses, and he was just roasting in the sun. and just, you know, the visual component of that, and you know how he described the skin blistering in the sun. It was just nope, mm-mm, no, mm-mm, no, mm-mm, no, nope, 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 noping the fuck out of there. And then he added this kind of like a cosmic twist to it. He like sprinkled it around, and I enjoyed that also. But you know, for me, he didn't really have to do that. He just, you know, put in the guy adrift. That's horror enough, you know. The last story that I also liked was, I think it was called Mouth, but then it had like in parentheses, Mouth, the last days of my day. Interesting. So it's about this. Where was it? So it's about this boy who is cleaning up the apartment of his dad after he passed away, and the dad was kind of like a hoarder, so he like kept a lot of crap, and you know, this heart is a bad disease, a mental disease, and I feel bad for people that have it. But yeah, so they're you know, cleaning up the room, and then and then he so he managed to scratch his forearm on like a rusty piece of nail, as when he was cleaning the place, and you know, he gets it treated and everything, but then he suddenly starts to hear this kind of muffled noise, and you know, he got a suit, and then when he looks at it, it moves, like, you know, kind of like a mouth, and it's kind of, you know, creepy, you know, and it's terrifying to see something moving, and you're like, ah, oh, maggots, and you know, he cuts it open, and then it's the voice of his dad. His dad, spirit or whatever, kind of moved past into his forearm, into this wound. And at first, you know, he is terrified, but then he kind of like allows it to stay there, because you know, at the beginning of the story, he says that he didn't really knew his father that much. He kind of cut off ties with him after the hoarding thing worsened, and so he just, you know, starts talking to him, and the mouth talks back. His dad talks back, and he gets to know his father a little better. And I thought it was a really nice way of ending the collection. It was the last story of the collection, and it was really sweet. It was a bittersweet moment, you know. You got to share your last moment with your dad, you know, before he passed on, and it was just, yeah, I thought it was really sweet. So yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed this collection. I definitely am looking forward to reading more from Luke Kondor. He really has some great stories. The only thing that I can probably say that I didn't like about the collection was that he put a lot of, like, you know, mentioning a lot, you know, there was a lot of Twitter arguments, or like he put a lot of things about Twitter, or he put a lot of things about Facebook. Kind of pulled me away from the stories. You know, I mean, I know Twitter is all around, but just seeing them so much in these short stories kind of like threw me off a little bit. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with having it. But at the same time, it kind of, as I said, like at the beginning, I said that it kind of felt like it was a parallel universe type of thing. So seeing this, you know, and him mentioning so much of Twitter, it's just like, oh, so this is our world. Oh, okay. So yeah, it kind of just threw me off a little bit. But you know, nothing wrong with that at all. Just in my opinion, I didn't really like it. So all in all, take the Corvus, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. So I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend that you take a look, and I hope you will see the next book that I'm gonna finish. So have a nice day. Bye.